All righty. Greeting everyone. Let me know if you can see and hear my screen in the chat panel. Give everybody a moment to get in here, get us situated, and we'll get right to it. Again, let me know if you can see and hear me in the chat panel, please, on Zoom. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. So, all right, we had about 50 people sign up for this. I see there's 4 of you in here at the moment. I was going to give it another moment before we get running here. As I've mentioned the first couple of times I've done this, it's meant to be a live stream and getting started webinar for those that have really just starting trade ideas up for the first couple of times, first time to first, maybe 10 times. If there are a lot of people that are here, then I will conduct it more of instruction. The less people that are here, the more kind of open I'll do it and answer individual questions in that sense and demonstrate that way. I think that's going to be the way to organize and the best use of everyone's time. So, all right, it's 3:33, almost 3:34, just turning 3:34 as a matter of fact. So if we want, we can just open this up kind of more Q&A like at the moment. I recognize at least most of your names in here. I'm not sure if I've seen you before, Joel. So perhaps going Q&A because I see, Todd is over in YouTube, and then there's 4 of you in Zoom. So with really 5 people, I don't think there's really much for me to instruct, and probably better use of everyone's time if we do this more Q&A. If you folks don't have questions for me, I'll go over some thoughts about the software itself. We can just do, build a scan as an exercise, some things like that. Yeah, you got it. And then, Joel, you're good to put questions there or even just the regular chat panel. Either one works for me. Probably the chat panel works a little better for me, actually, because it gives me less windows to look at. But so when you run a back test, essentially, the next step is, let me pull up a window here that I've been working on. I won't say I'm working on it, but kind of forward testing it now, not back testing it. Load from cloud. So I've got this window here that I've been messing around with for a while, run the back test on it. And, it's nothing special. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to this or anything. But I pretty much created this scan back in the middle of December, and I continue to back test it every few days just to see how it runs. I'm not looking to put anything in automation in the environment that we're currently in right now. It's not something that I'm willing to put money and take it out of my hands live. But when we get back to a more friendly trending up market, I'm interested to see what this will do, because it's overall held up well, especially in the real junk of the last, couple of months. So once I'm here with this, before I'm ready to put it to real work, what I'm actually going to do is load it into Brokerage Plus and into our simulator. I suppose I could do this at any point, but I just haven't made the effort into it because I know I'm not within a few weeks of wanting to go live anyways. So when I think I'm within a few weeks of going live, that's when I'm going to move it over to the simulator and then put it in there to test in the simulator. And if it looks like it's okay in the simulator, I'd like to see it a lot more than okay in the simulator to be honest, because in the simulator, the things that cannot be tested, you cannot test for liquidity and spread in the simulator. It doesn't work that way. There's no way to simulate real live trading. It does not exist, but at least it can give me an idea of how close I am that it might work. So this is, the back testing is step one, loading it into the simulator is step two, and then putting it live is step three. On step three, what I would say to anybody is this. So in order to load it into the sim, and a lot of this will apply to live trading, you'll have the strategy, make sure it's saved into your cloud. When you're ready to go with it in the sim, you'll right click and go load from cloud and strategies here on Brokerage Plus. Actually, let's break this down even further. If you don't have Brokerage Plus open already, go to new and Brokerage Plus and get yourself a Brokerage Plus window open, okay? Then once you've done that, you're going to have all these different tabs that are up here. I don't know what yours will look like. I have my default that I've created here. You can come to new and you can add any of these tabs that are here that you need. Ones that you'll really need are going to be strategy, position. You probably want trading summary. You'll definitely want an orders tab. Message tab is good to have, but not necessary. You'll probably want to look at your accounts tab. And for simulated trading, you'll definitely want to have the calendar tab. All right. Also, you'll notice there's no profit continuum up here. I don't like this. Your Brokerage Plus is going to look very different than my Brokerage Plus for the order entry panel. I'm testing the new order entry panel here. I have my likes and dislikes about this. This is what it's going to look like very soon, though. My likes is that, you got this bid, last, ask, all this here. If you want to put a time stop here, bracket orders are here. What I don't like is that you have to decide here, market limit stop, then come here if you go limit to pull the price up, where the current panel, you can just go click it here and get your limit price right away. I also don't like having to click buy or sell and then send. That's annoying to me. But we're working on some hotkeys and things like that. That aside, just in case anybody saw this panel here and said, well, I don't really understand, why does your panel look like this and why does everybody else's panel look differently? That's why. This will probably be out. I can't say. I keep hearing, once in a while they'll give us quote unquote a time frame of, oh, we're looking for the end of this week, and well, it was the end of this week 3 weeks ago. So in the not so distant future. So this will be the only thing that's different, but this isn't really going to concern us for what we're doing for loading a strategy and testing it in automation. Also, Todd, for the back testing, if you're on a premium account, a premium subscription, it's unlimited back testing. If you are on a standard account, you get 10 just to try it, and that's it. There's no, we could, as a courtesy, give you I think up to another 30, but there's a protection inside the system so it can't be manipulated and people can't keep asking for more back tests to try it out. That after a standard account uses X amount of back tests, the system will loop it and not let you do it anymore. So you'll go to run the back test and it'll just never finish. It's a protection of the system because we've, unfortunately, like the rest of the world, have unscrupulous users who try to take advantage of us. And so we got to put protections in there for people that don't realize that. So, all right, let's just surmise that we have the Brokerage Plus open now. We're moving forward, and you're going to want to head to that strategies tab. One other thing I want to note here. I don't use the profit continuum. I don't like it. This is a profit continuum up here. This thing up here that, shows where you are in the day, positive and negative, and where the positions are in positive and negative and things like that. It's just a big distraction to me. I don't personally like it. Some people might like it. I like less stuff. I like it clean, neat, simple. All right. So anyways, with that said, we can connect to the Trade Idea Simulator, connect. There we can see it's going to connect in a second here. Just takes a minute to load, and probably have a bunch of simulated positions in here from just messing around. So yeah, you can see all those positions here. Simulated trading account. right there. So we know we're in the simulator. Now we head to strategies. If I right click and I go to load from cloud, you'll see all your strategies that are in here. You can only load an A window. It's got to have an A next to it. Do not load a T window. Do not load an M window. Do not load a doc, please. All right. Only an A window. So find the A window that you're looking to load. For this exercise, that's what I'm going to go. It's going to ask, do you want to replace all the strategies? No. Do you want to add to existing? Yes. All right. And so now we can see it in here. All right. Columns are all sizable too if you need to open up a column or move it around or anything like that. The next step is we right click and we come into, I gotcha, Todd. If no one's given you a few extra already, Todd, you can email us to the info at and say, hey, would you mind? I was testing out the back tester, curious, is it possible for me to get a few extra back tests? And it'll be at the discretion of whoever the manager is for that. They might give you 10 more, they might give you 30 more. I can't say, but info at trade-ideas.com for you there. And throw an email in there, and so that's for Todd over in YouTube. Throw an email to us there and we'll see what we can do. So once you're in this part of it here, you're going to right click and we're going to go to edit trading strategy. And it's going to give us this window with a bunch of tabs in it. Each tab, really important. Go over what's in every tab. I think it's very important. The first thing that people always miss is you got to attach the account to this. So in this case, we'd be attaching the simulated default. All right, the trading account there. So connecting with Brokerage Plus is twofold. In case we didn't see that, we connect the broker here, and then we connect an account in the positions tab, and we connect an account here to the actual strategy we're using. All right, so broker connect and account connect. The rest of this in the configuration is just going over the configuration of the scan, essentially making sure it's a long strategy or short strategy, the name of the strategy, all those items like that. If the strategy is automated, you obviously have an entry time and an exit time. And, are you sending, if it's a strategy that has an alert happening for the same stock multiple times, do we want to send orders for that at, multiple times? Let's say that it's trading something that I already hold as maybe a long-term position. Do I want it to trade that position on top of it already being held as a long-term position? So that's what this is. Do I want it to send orders all day long, or do I want it to stop after a certain amount of trades? Your order details, how am I position sizing? Am I just taking $1,000 worth of a stock? Am I taking $100 worth of a stock? Or am I buying fixed shares? Am I taking 100 shares? Am I taking 175 shares? Am I taking 1,750 shares? So on and so forth. Or we can base it on our stop loss, saying I want to risk $1,750 every time, or I want to risk $100 every time, or I want to risk $150 every time. Our order entry, are we going in at a limit? Are we going in at a market? If you are not familiar with stop limits, please stay away from them. Okay, that gets into some more advanced trading stuff. You really need to understand market mechanics. It's not so much as trade idea software understanding as really understanding market mechanics and how orders work with your broker. Those are things you're going to want to contact your broker for and get into that with them there. To really understand that. But, I'll surmise at this point that everybody understands the difference between limit and market orders. If you go at a limit, you have to decide your offset. A negative number means what you're willing to give up to get into the trade. So for example, if there's a 5-cent spread, and you don't mind getting filled at the top of that 5 cents, you'd want minus 5 cents as your offset. If you go positive 5 cents, that means that, for example, if the spread was $10 to $10.05, you want to fill at $9.95, meaning that you want a better price than what the current price is. So, these are the things that we consider. And we head to our risk management tab. How are we doing this? Again, please stick to percents or dollars, all right, for this. You cannot have a stop and a trailing stop at the same time. Your broker will not allow for that. There's not a broker on this planet that allows for that. It has to fit market mechanics. It has to fit with bracket orders of market mechanics. The reason why I ask people to stay away from filters is because a lot of people want to use, for example, a rising 8 EMA. Well, we don't have EMA, so that's irrelevant. But let's say a rising 10 SMA for their stop. Your broker cannot calculate that. When the order goes out, it goes out as this bracket order. An order goes out to get filled, and there's two open orders that sit and waiting for that fill, so they go live, a stop and a target, or one if you don't even want a target or you don't want to stop. But either way, it has to be an order your broker can hold, meaning it has to be a hard dollar number set by either price or set by a dollar offset. That's it. Your broker can't take the order and then calculate that moving 10 SMA or calculate that 1 minute RSI, so on and so forth. So that's what you're looking at with there. I just want to pause for a second. Like I said, I was expecting, 35 to 50 people here. It's, I don't know how many are in YouTube, but there's 4 people here in Zoom. So if anybody else has questions, fire those questions away. I'll circle back to everything. But I'm just going to take a moment and run with Joel's original question here. All right. So, but same thing in YouTube. If anybody has a question over in YouTube, fire them away. We're going to do this open forum today again, because obviously, people are registering, but not showing up, unfortunately. But so that's what happens in here. You select, do I want the trailing stop? Do I want the stop loss? And same thing with trailing stop. Please use $1 or % on that offset. Okay. Remember, market mechanics. If that's something that you're struggling with, you don't know yet, please reach out to your broker. Have them walk you through it. I don't use them anymore, but Fidelity was really great about walking me through stuff when I was first learning to trade and asking questions like this. They had a great resource center. I don't know the resource centers of other brokers because I did most of that research through Fidelity, and then I understood it once I'd moved other brokers. I currently use Interactive Brokers right now. And for anybody that's going to ask, there's no magic broker. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. Just remember, a lot of times you pay for what you get. Just kind of the way that things work. I'm happy with Interactive Brokers overall. If we ever connect to another free broker, I don't care for E-Trade overall. But if we ever connect to maybe TD Ameritrade, I might go back to Thinkorswim. If we ever connect to Fidelity, there's a very, very good chance I'd probably pick Fidelity over anybody. I just had good experiences with these brokers. That's why. But I like Brokerage Plus, so that's where I am. So that's that's that. Link for the webinar. Let me see if I can still get you a link to that. Try this. I can't promise it'll work now. But on our education page, you can just sign up for the webinars on a running basis. If you go to the education page and look for the Getting Started webinars here, this is what it'll look like. Trade Ideas Education. So this is for the people in YouTube. So there's that. All right. And you'll see it here, getting started. If you click this, it's going to bring you to this registration. All right. It's going to show you all these dates and times and everything, and put all your information in here. And yes, there's a join webinar in progress, so you can do that as well. All right. So all that exists there for you folks. Let me just dock that tab again. Let me get rid of that. All right. And then the last part of this is, do you want a time hold on the strategy? If you want a time hold, great. You put it in here. You're limited to what you see in here. There's no sell it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's sell after X amount of minutes on the current day, or sell at the open or close on any of the following days. That's the limit of it. All right. So hopefully that covers most of what your questions were. And so what you want to do is you're going to want to load that into the simulator first, run it in the simulator. When you go live on a strategy that you're automating, please understand this. First, we're learning like a baby. We're on our back. We learn to flip ourselves over. That's the back testing and optimizing. All right. The next step is we're learning to crawl. That's getting it in the simulator. All right. The next step is we're standing up on our own. We got it to the simulator. It looks okay. We're ready to put it live. Putting it live doesn't mean going full board. I'm risking $300 a trade. I'm risking $1,000 a trade. I'm buying 1,000 shares, whatever it is. Full board means, if you're with E-Trade, buy one share. All right. And see what one share looks like. All right. This way, if something goes wrong, you had one share. You're not blowing up your account if something goes wrong. All right. As someone who has made a bunch of errors going live on some automated stuff in the past, please listen to what I'm saying and not just blow off what I'm saying about live automation. Live automation is no joke. You don't want to make, I made some mistakes on my first shots at live automation that cost me a whole bunch of money. It was stupid mistakes because A, I didn't go through the education materials that were provided by me. B, I didn't double check the stuff that was provided to me. I didn't double check what I put in there, and I blew everything off very confident and cocky, thinking, oh, I've got the keys to this jet. I'm going to fly. I'm going to be rich. And by not taking the time to watch some of the 30-minute videos that we have on setting this stuff up, I ended up losing a ton of money, and it was really stupid on my part. And, I was sitting here blaming Trade Ideas. And then next thing I know, this is before I worked for Trade Ideas, next thing I know, Andy and Michael pointed out, did you do this? Well, no. They're like, well, we go over that in this material. Why didn't you do that? Because I didn't know. Did you look at it? No. Okay, well, then I guess that was really, that was my bad on that. You start with buying one share, or, if you're interactive brokers, maybe, because of, commissions and that, maybe you're buying 10 shares. But my point is, you start off when you first go live very small, that if something goes wrong, you don't blow your account out in the first day. And then if it looks like it's working live in the subsequent days following, increase that share size, by 5 shares, or by by risking $5 more if you're going based on a risk, of stop loss, things like that, in increments till you get to the place that you really ultimately want to be. All right. So I think that covers most of what I'm looking for. And again, in order to back test, in order to automate, you have to be on the premium subscription. So, all right, I think we've got that. I have premium classes, TI class on how to use the most filter for strategies. This is it for live classes. Well, this isn't it, but there's this beginners, what this is supposed to be for beginners on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like I said, if people aren't showing up, I'm going to keep it open for them and not a syllabus. I have a syllabus that I've kind of created that if it's 30, 40, 50 people in here, I'm going to go over the syllabus of what we're doing for the day. When it's just a few people, I'm going to just kind of fly off the cuff on an open forum. But Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I do this at this exact same time, Joel. On YouTube, though, not on Zoom. So, everybody, selfless plug. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please like everything on there. Really means a lot to us. It's a really big deal to us. Us building our user base, our education base. The more you succeed, the more we succeed. The more we succeed, the more we can offer you folks. That's really kind of how the symbiotic relationship works. We only work if you succeed at trading with Trade Ideas. The more you succeed at trading, the more everybody succeeds at trading, the more users we get, we can bring on more staff to do more live things, to do things like that. So it becomes a very, very symbiotic relationship for us. I'm going to put the YouTube link in here for those that don't have it, in Zoom perhaps. All right. So selfless plug, please go here. Please like, please subscribe, please do those things. It all kind of works symbiotic. Sorry, I'm catching up on questions here. I see Peter and a few other people put a few things into YouTube. So just give me a second to catch up on here. So that's, there's no class specifically for the most used filter. Probably the most used filter is relative volume and live market hours, I would say. But we can, okay, so you're doing it on the simulator. Perfect. There's no way to trade options. We can scan for some different options volume, Joel, but no way to trade options through us, just stocks at this moment in time. And what we have for options volume, if you right click, everything in Trade Ideas, as I always say, is right click. Everything's a right click. So right click configure. If you type options in the search, so we're on the search tab here and we're looking, this is what we have. We have 6 options filters that are all based on volume. Essentially, I guess the put call ratio isn't volume necessarily, but let's call it a first cousin to volume. That's all we have for options. Way to create pullback from high, dig, touches 10 SMA. Any way to create an alert, pull back from the high. So what you could do, yeah, we can do that. Give me a second. I'm going to circle back on you here, James, and we'll build that out together. So yes, I'm live streaming on YouTube currently, and I'm in Zoom. So you have both those options. All right, so perfect. We've seen that. So like I said, I do this at 3:30 every day on YouTube. Tuesdays and Thursdays are also Zoom/YouTube, and in this format where Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays is complete free for all open forum. Ask your questions. I try to get to everybody. Usually, I have to cut out about 4:30 or so. Some days I can stay a little longer. Some days I can't. That's how that goes there. Also at noon Eastern, every single day at noon Eastern, we do a live open forum on YouTube as well. Different person, different personality every day. You'll get me for now anyways, Monday at noons. Tuesdays is Michael Noss, although I'm filling in for him as him and his wife just welcomed a newborn. So for the time being, it'll be me Mondays and Tuesdays, a whole bunch. Wednesdays is Steve Gomez, Thursday, Jamie Hodge, and Friday is Andy Lindloff. So you get a different person, different expertise in there for different stuff. I'm going to be kind of more your Brokerage Plus guy, more your automation guy, more your back testing guy than those other ones are. So, bookmark those days, and those are the days and times that I'm there. When Michael's back, he is another great person for the back testing, Brokerage Plus, and automation. He's someone to even more than me to hit for those things. So perfect. We're going to circle back on you, James, in a moment for that. We're going to build that alert window together, something like that. I want to circle. There's a few things that were coming into YouTube. I want to make sure I get to the people in YouTube. How to create. Okay, so James, you hit me both sides with that. Perfect. All right, so that covers going to be two birds with one stone. Got it. We look good. Lots of analysts say stocks will rally in the last hour. You agree? Stocks seem to rally in the last hour more often than not. I'm working on something that I'm going to start to maybe trade futures overnight. It just seems to be at like midnight. Futures start to trend up, and by 5 o'clock in the morning, they start to trend down. It's an overall trend. So I'm looking at doing some orders with futures that has nothing to do with trade ideas. But they call it 330 ramp for a reason. The guy on Twitter, Ramp Capital, if anybody does Twitter, he's ramped capital for a reason. There's definitely something to it. There's always more volume on the close anyways, but it just seems to be always more buy volume, although that was an ugly close for the SPY for all things considered. Just bring over a quick SPY chart. We can see here. We started this rally, nice red bar ignore, moved up, wedge sideways, moved up, wedge sideways, and then gave it right up at the end like that. So it kind of was kind of a ending to a rally-ish day, and we couldn't hold 450 on the SPY. But for those that are interested, looking at charts and things like that, what I'm going to say to you is this: anybody that just started trading in the last 6 months, I'm sorry. You started trading in one of the most ridiculous environments that I've seen in my 5 years of trading. And what do I mean by that? I like most people to try to not count this. This is an anomaly. The odds of us seeing something like that again in the next 100 years is less than 1%, probably less than 0.25%. And if someone had fallen asleep right here on this day here, all right, or at that time period there, and then they woke up here, they would have said, oh, we had a 2% pullback on the SPY. They'd have never known that this whole thing happened inside of 8 weeks. That all happened. All right. So an anomaly, and we shot out of that like a rocket. All right. And then we started to get wiggly here at the end of last year. All right. Finally. And yes, we made some new all-time highs, but we didn't do it without some real wiggly choppiness. And then since that last all-time high, I mean, this is just, that's hard, and let's zoom back in and, are we looking, it's a bull trap. It's a bear trap. Is it a bull trap again? I don't know, but we had a bull trap and a bear trap, in the last 2 months. It's not fun to trade. And, I don't care for it myself, quite personally. But anyways, with all that said, I think that kind of catches us up here. I think that hopefully that helps answer as well with you, Peter, that, A lot of rallies happen at the end of days. A lot of rallies happen at the end of days. More rallies than sell-offs, I would say, at the end of the days. So, and yes, I see your question there, Chandru. Give me a moment. We'll circle on that. I want to build this window out that James was asking here. So let's start. We're going to build an alert window. All right. So new, for anybody that wants to follow along, we'll click new and alert window. All right. And we're looking for some kind of pullbacks and things like that. So let's see, we want to pull back from the high. So let's go to search and let's put position, because essentially what you're asking for is something very similar to what I built in the scan that I just went over. So position, and we want range. So see this D here, that's going to be our position and range, all right, for today. And so we're going to add that filter, all right. I just want to put a default value in here because I want to hide the rest of the stuff in here that I don't want. All right. And so we want to say we're a maximum of something. We don't want to be at the top. So let's say we pulled back and let's say we're a maximum of maybe 75%. So this means we have to be at least 25% off the high of today right now. All right. So that's where our pullback's coming in. We got to give it a price range. I'm going to just run with this unless someone chimes in and has something else that they want. But price, we're going to now add this filter. All right. And I'm just going to go with, we're going to go with $8 to $100 for fun. All right. And we're going to come back to search, and we need a 10 SMA because that's, you know, basis of what we're building. So 10 SMA. And now we have to ask ourselves, what 10 SMA are we building this on? Are we building it on a 2-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, a 15-minute chart, or a 60-minute chart? For this exercise, I'm going to go with 15-minute chart right now. Okay. So I'm going to add that filter. And now we want to see that stocks have to be around this. So this is where hopefully this is going to work the way I want. Nope, of course it doesn't. Usually the show me function doesn't use a histogram. It uses something like this, where it tells me exactly what the values that I've plugged in are going to do. Unfortunately, we got a histogram here. So with that, let's see. We wanted a maximum. Let's say a maximum of 0.5% above the 10 SMA, and we don't want to see it below the 10 SMA on a 15-minute chart. So that's what we've essentially done there. So now we have the basis of this scan. All right. We're looking at stocks between $8 and $100. They have to be off the high of the day. They also have to be above the 10 SMA, but they can't be more than 0.5% above the 10 SMA. So that, you know, we're not finding anything extended off of there. All right. And I'm just kind of building out a general idea here. I don't know where this is going to land exactly. All right. The next part of this is we need some volume. All right. So let's type volume because we don't want to trade something that's traded 10 shares on the day. And this kind of becomes, you know, subjective to people. Some people think 200,000 shares traded is a lot. Some people think that 1 million shares traded is not enough. We're going to go with volume today to weed out some stuff. So we're going to add this filter. Mike, see what is happening over there in YouTube. So let's add that filter, and arbitrarily, I'm going to stick a value of 225,000 shares. So now on top of the other items that we put in here, we have to have traded at least 225,000 shares today, okay? But we might want to see that that's not just one part of it, but the next part of it is a relative volume. Now I know some of these filters are already in this, but I want to go back and forth to the search to really hammer home how we search for those things, because I have a default that all my alert windows, when I open a new alert window, starts exactly the same, with the same columns and same things like that. All right. So relative volume, I think this is, you know, it's a powerful filter, especially for intraday trading. I'm going to add that filter. What relative volume does, for those that are not familiar with it, is this. It takes the average of 10 days and breaks them into a ratio. But then it takes it a little bit further, so that when the alert triggers, whatever you see that relative volume is, it's basically telling you that if this stock keeps up this pace at this time, this is what we're on track for. So we're telling we're telling the scan to do something, and then the scan's relative volume also tells us something. So let's, for example, say we put a 2 in here. We're saying not only do we have to have traded 225,000 shares on the day, but this stock, the stock that alerts, has to be on track to trade 2x what it normally trades over the last 10 days at the current pace it's going. Now, we can pull that up, and at the time when the alert goes off, our relative volume, as we can see here in our single stock window, it will have met what we're saying. An hour from now, though, that relative volume could be up because volume could still be increasing on that stock. That relative volume could also be down because that volume could be decreasing on that stock as well. But at that time of the alert, it was on track to do that 2x. It's not a predictor. It's not saying the stock is going to do this much volume today. It's saying at the current pace, the stock could do this much volume today. So that's why I think relative volume is so important and so powerful, and so, circle back, so important to understand what relative volume is really doing. All right. So now we've got the basis of this scan. I think we can stick with just this filter set for right now. Okay, that's a good filter set to work with. Now the next part that we need is the alert, the catalyst. Okay, so if we look when we're building a scan here, notice this: alerts all have this single kind of icon here. Excuse me, thought I had a sneeze coming in. Didn't want to sneeze into the microphone on you folks. These single icons are your alerts. They're an event. This thing happened. And then this thing happened while these filters were met is what gives us our alert. So a new high or a new low, new ask high, 75 pulls back from the close, 25 pulls back from the lows of the close, so on and so forth. These are all different alerts or events that we have to attach in an alert window to get that time-stamped alert that says, hey, this stock did what you were looking for at this exact second. All right. So we can scroll through all these here and we can find, I have, my ideas of what I like, especially in building a scan like this. The other thing I want to illustrate to you is this: the alerts all look like this. The filters all look like this. You've got this teal and purple color here, indicating a minimum and maximum value that have to be entered for this, okay? For this exercise, there's 3 different alerts that I think we can look at here. There's a new high. We can go ahead and add that, all right? There is 5-minute high that I think is good. We're going to go ahead, add that. When we add it, notice how after I add the alert, I still have to put a check mark in so that the scan is looking for it. And then one that I really like and I've been working with a lot is crossed above resistance. I'm not using the confirmed. I've just been using the crossed above resistance. All right, go ahead and add that. Now, I think 5-minute high and new high are very self-explanatory. This crossed above resistance may not be. So 2 folds here, things that we're looking at when we're building a scan. Notice that there is a filter field for the alerts here, okay? The new high one is very easy. It's looking at new high days. If we leave this field blank, just looking at the new high for today. If we do not leave that blank and we put a 365 in there, we're going back looking at 52-week highs because weekends are counted in this. That's how it works. Only for this filter. If you were using only for this alerts filter. If we were looking at a position in range filter for 20 days, that does not count weekends. All right. That's 20 trading days for the position in range 20-day filter, or 10-day or 5-day filters, all subsequent like that. If we want to just look at the new high for the day, we leave that blank. However, this is a little ambiguous here. What does this hours of trading mean? And what does crossed above resistance mean? Right click, help, or search, click on it, help, or right click, help again. That will give you a page that looks exactly like this. I am working, although I haven't done any of the work yet, with Stephanie to update this page to make it a little more user-friendly. And this is what I mean by user-friendly. This brings us to what the cross above resistance alert is doing. What it does not do is tell us what this actual filter that we're looking at here means. It's actually in a separate section. So if we go to the top of this page here, it starts with alert types, all right, and gives us the descriptions of each one of those alert types. As we scroll down and we pass the alert types, the second section we come to is the alert filters. Coming up right now. Alert specific filters, all right? That goes back to what I'm describing here, this hours of trading, okay? So it's a different section for the alerts, and it goes over what these filters are looking for or doing, or what values going into them mean. And so if we come to the crossed above resistance, all right, we get what that means. And so we're basically saying that we're looking back an X amount of trading hours for that resistance. The algorithm in the description tells us there's an algorithm that basically looks for price that's gathering at a certain area that it will consider resistance. So the algorithm does that for us. I prefer to leave this blank. I want to say to the algorithm, I don't want to pick the time. You pick the time looking back and get that for me like that, okay? That's how that works. So those are the three alerts I think that in a situation like this that we want to look at. And if someone says, well, why pick those three alerts and why not something else? If we think about it, all right, obviously we're not looking at pre and post market. That's not going to make any sense. We could use new high filtered, all right, and that's basically trying to filter out bad prints or repeat prints over and over again. So that's essentially what that is. That's a good one if you're trying to cut down some noise from an alert window, all right? If we're trying to look for things that are bouncing at a 10 SMA and off a high, we don't want to work with yesterday's data of a pullback from the close or anything like that. So that doesn't work. So we want to consider the alert that we're selecting, that it works for the filters that we're selecting. And that's why, you know, a lot of these alerts won't work for certain filters, and certain filters won't work with other alerts, or they don't team up well together. You think of it as a team. They're working as a team together like that. You know, standard deviation might be something you want to look into for this alert. I'm not sure, but you know, that might be something to consider. You know, one of these other kind of cross resistances might be something you want to look at. Perhaps a crossed or from sector breakout, that might be something you want to consider. Relative volume alert, not to be confused with the filter, but works very similar to the filter, might be something you want to look at. You know, these are all things you want to look at, but you know, when we're building an alert window, when you're first building it, maybe you want to run 2 or 3 alerts with those filters to see what alert maybe works the best. When you finish refining the alert window, I think you really want to stick with 1 alert per window, maybe 2. The reason why is, and I kind of covered this, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but again, it goes back to not every alert works well with every filter set. And so obviously, you know, if you want to see stocks that are at the high end of their range, a new low and are breaking out and moving up, you don't want a new low alert. That's not going to make any sense to be with that, you know. Now, a new low alert might work with stuff that's at the high end of the range if you're looking for stuff that's spiked and you're trying to short. So when you're building the scan, keep in mind what you're trying to build, how the filters work with the alert set. So I think we have something here. We're gonna test this out. We're gonna run a history on it. We're gonna call it off highs, pull back to 10, 15 SMA. All right, I'm gonna click OK. And we're just going to run the history on this today and see what some of these alerts look like. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that page. So right click everything in trade ideas. Please remember, everything in trade ideas is a right click. You know, go through all these things. And I know we asked about docking before, so I'm circling to that in just 1 second. I did not forget about your question about docking. So let's run today's history. And this is where we're going to end this with this part of building this alert. All right. And we see more available. So each window, each scanning window has the ability to only open 1,000 items at once in it. So more available means we got to that 1,000, and if we want it, there's more than 1,000 alerts coming through on the day. So we made it back to 1140. If we were to right click and come to configure, and go to time frame, excuse me, go to more, it'll load more alerts going back and we'll start at that 1140 where it cut off and move back. So, let's look at a few of these things here. I'm one of those people, don't go chasing the open. I like to wait 20, 30, 40 minutes before I really start looking at stuff. So UNG came through and that's where it caught UNG right here. Nice move off of that. RTL came through, not so hot off of that. AMH came through. Full disclosure, I put this in the trader's eye, but I don't think Andy liked it enough to put it out there today. It didn't work early, but it ended up recovering and working. NS, what do we look like? No, not much off of that. All right. And we can see that a lot of the alerts that are coming through are these 5-minute highs. Here you can see it's the crossed above resistance. All right. BCRX, that got that nice and early on that 5-minute high. All right. So we're seeing some alerts that work, some that don't. BCI, nope, garbage. And then, you got to look at some of these are ETFs that are coming through here. We could always get rid of ETFs or try to get rid of them anyways. Configure, symbols list, add existing list. We can add warrants. Let's get rid of warrants, all ETFs. All right. See how that might help. Things like that. All right, so hopefully that all kind of makes sense. I'm going to share this window out with you. And every one of you is going to save it to your own cloud after I share this, because odds are after this weekend, I will have deleted this from my cloud. Copy. All right. That should be out to everybody, both in Zoom and YouTube. All right, now go over docked and undocked channels. So, I can go over the channels, sure. First off, I just updated this here. So first off, if you're looking for any help with the channels, go to help and go to channel descriptions. And I've got everything in here that I just updated this whole thing. All right, going over everything in here. This is all updated. Going over all the channels, what the channels are looking for individually in them. All right. Now, one of the reasons that we have docked and not docked channel bars is this. Let me open a channel. Nope. Open a channel bar. All right. And let's come to the trader's eye, not trader's eye, trader's vault. Where are you? Opening this up. All right. There's just a whole boatload of scans in here. There is no way to dock all these into a layout and share that out with every single user. Also, I don't know anybody that could watch this many scans realistically throughout a trading day like this. So that's why this isn't docked. All right. There's other, there are also many longtime users who do not like the docking system and use the channels. And so we're just not going to force dock channels on anybody. So we created 2 separate bars like that. There's limitations to what we can put out via the server. These are for everybody. So what I suggest to everybody is if you have a channel and you want to rearrange it and you want to make it your own, that's fine. Do that, then save it to the cloud so that you can load that channel from your cloud with all those things saved. All right. So those are the 2 reasons, the 2 main reasons that we have docked and not docked channels. It's not going to be possible for me to go through every channel and explain every single item in every channel. But like I said, all in this help, channel descriptions. You're going to get a general synopsis of what's going on in here. All right. And then you can take each scan and, for example, we can load up, let's load up explosive winners. All right. The explosive winners channel. We can load this up just like this, and we can right click and come into configure, and we can come to summary, and we can see what we're looking for in here. We can nail it down a little more by going to the window specific filters. All right. If it was a top list, that's a top list. If it was an alert window or a multi-window, we can right click, come to configure. And this is why it's hard for me. It would take me a month to go through every one of these. look how many strategies there are to go over in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 selected strategies just in this multi-window alone. And multiple channels have multi-windows just like this. But what I'm trying to illustrate here is if you're curious about anything in any of these windows, give it a right click, go to the configures. So in a multi-window, you're going to go to strategies and select the strategy and go to configure and have a look at what's going on in these windows. Again, summary, these are the alerts that are going on in it. These are the filters that are going on in it. Sorry, another sneeze was coming up on me. And that's what we're looking at there for each one of these. Now, if you have a channel that you really like, but you want it docked and it's not docked already, real easy. We'll go through this exercise. I just wanted to get rid of my Brokerage Plus window that was there. We can right click and we can go duplicate into new dock window. Okay, each one of these. So I've duplicated this. It's in a new docked window here. And since we are on explosive winners, if I right click at the top of this dock, I can go change title. All right. And now I can call it my explosive winners channel. All right. Sorry, like capital letters. And so we've started there. So I've got this first one in here, biggest gainers yesterday. I can get rid of that individual scan now. All right. Now I got biggest gainers this week, and I can right click, duplicate into my explosive winners channel. Now I've got that one. Let's get rid of it. All right. And I'm going to show how to organize this in a second. Right now, yes, they're all tabbed together, but bear with me a moment. All right. And we'll right click into the explosive winners channel again, and we can get rid of it. All right. And then we can do the same thing here, right click. And continue to get rid of the ones that we've duplicated in there. If we happen to like this single stock window, same thing, right click. All right, there we go. If we want the charts, same thing, right down the line, right click into explosive winners. Get rid of the stuff after you duplicated it in there. Clean up, keep things clean, keep things neat. Now, yes, everything is tabbed, right? Real easy from here. We can start grabbing items and rearranging them how we want in here, all right? So, the first thing I could do is take this chart and I can say, all right, I want this chart to live up top and I want this chart here. So now we can see this chart's here, and then I've got this chart here and all these things, still tabbed behind the scenes, all right? Grab this chart and I say, I want my charts to live next to each other. And notice how wherever I put the mouse on the tool, that's where it's going. If I put it in the center, it would be tabbed behind and I'd have two charts behind each other. And I can grab this and I can say, I want the 5-minute chart to the right because I like to look left, looking back in time, I'm looking left, all right? And now it looks like that. And then I can start to organize these scans and I can say, well, we're going to put this scan like this. And I want this scan below here. And I want this scan below here. And I want this single stock window to look like this. But maybe I want to even give more space to the single stock window. So I can even take this and then tab it like this. And now the single stock window gets wider and the scans are all like that. And there we have it. I have my explosive winners. All right. I have the whole channel docked for myself. Right click, save or share to cloud, my explosive winners channel. All right. I can even add the channel bar to that. Notice how when I right click save or share to cloud, there's all these items that can be checked or unchecked. The special layout one is my Brokerage Plus window. If I wanted that in there, I could add that. I don't want it though. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's Holly. I think I might have a Holly window open somewhere. That's what that probably is. But you can see everything with the check in it's going in this whole thing here. All right. Whoops. And now if I click save and share, I can save this out to you. And each one of you will now have your own explosive winners. All right. If you want this channel, and it's done as a dock window. So you can even load this into every single any layout that you have open. So let's just say, for example, all right, notice how I saved that. All right. Let's say I'm looking at the strength alerts channel. I'm hanging out here in the strength alerts channel, but I also want to have that open at the same time because I saved that as an individual doc and not as a layout. If I go file, load from cloud, there's the my explosives that I just shared with everybody, right? Everybody, and make sure, please, everybody, if you want that, click it and save it to your cloud, just like you saw me save it. Now I can double click that and look, I have two layouts open at the same time. Just make sure your computer can handle this. And it's just that easy. That's all there is to it right there. All right. Real simple. Any of your channels that interest you, you can go through, make any of them just like that. And again, to save a whole layout, but as a doc like that, all you have to do is right click the top of the docked window. All right. Save or share to cloud and pay attention to what has check marks in it. For example, I could save this whole thing now like this so that the next time I open it, all the free floating stuff from the trade ideas strength alerts is in there too, because we can see all the strength alert stuff that's in here, right? And my second channel bar opened, off the screen that was there as well. So, these are the things that we can do to implement multiple layouts at the same time or import multiple windows at the same time so we can keep things going throughout the day that we want to bring in and out our layouts without having to load a whole channel. All right. Because you can only have one layout loaded at a time, but you can have multiple docs loaded at the same time. Now, in this exercise, had I done that instead as save entire layout, it would have saved it as a layout, and I couldn't open a channel and that docked layout at the same time. All right. So hopefully that was all really clear. Hopefully that made sense and gave you that direction that you were looking for there in that question. Can you quick set up AI daily trade? Do you mean, just opening an AI window to look at, or you're trying to put it in automation there? Let me know what you're looking to do on that automation. I'm going to give you two things. I'm going to give you the short and skinny on it, and I'm going to give you a video afterwards that you're going to promise me you're going to watch very thoroughly multiple times if you need to, where I go over setting up the AI for simulated automation. Everything in this video applies to live trading. The only difference is instead of selecting the simulator and selecting the simulated account, you'd select your live account. All right. But I'm going to go over the basics of what I go over in this window. Share it in Zoom first. And in case anybody does want to see this in YouTube, there it is. All right, there it is. Let me get rid of this. And get rid of all this stuff here. I do have to run kind of shortly here. 4:30 is my escape time, but I'll go through as much as I can really fast here for you. All right. You need Brokerage Plus open for the automation. All right. So I'm in my simulated account for Brokerage Plus. If you don't have Brokerage Plus open, go to new, you go to Brokerage Plus, you open Brokerage Plus. There's going to be a string of tabs that are cross here. All right. Yours may or may not look like mine. I have the tabs open that I need for various reasons open. You need the Holly AI tab. If you don't see it, new Holly AI tab. Very simple like that. There's also an arrow here. You might find things that are pinned over here. All right. I think it's good to have the tabs that are here so you can quickly navigate between them, but I'll leave that up to you. But you're going to need that Holly AI tab there. You're also going to want a positions tab for sure. And you're going to want an orders tab as well. So those three tabs I think are a must. Once you have that open, all right, setting up the AI itself, you don't really need the AI channel open. In here, you're going to have a set of long strategies and a set of short strategies, all right, indicated by LS right here, long and short, and you're going to see trading on and off here, all right. Give me one moment. I got to log out of some software for company. All right. When you go to set up, you set the trading instructions for all long strategies. You do not set the trading instructions for individual strategies. You can turn on and off individual strategies, but the trading instructions will be for all long and all short, and then all re-enter long and all re-enter shorts. It goes like this. You'll right click, edit long trading instructions. And in here, you're going to set up all your long instructions. So you have to select the account here, because just because you're connected to a broker, you may have multiple accounts, and we need to know which account we're sending the orders to. So in here, you'll click edit. Your account should be loaded there if you're connected to your broker. All right. Next, are you going conservative or moderate? These are things that you're going to need to study up on if you don't know what they mean. Moderate is very simple. Moderate means enter the trade, and the only two things that get you out of the trade is either you get stopped out or it's a sell on close order at 3:55 p.m. That's it. There's no other option in moderate for getting out. Conservative has what we call a profit save, which is essentially a trailing stop. It has a reduced risk, which means the trade wasn't working and we're not sticking around for the stop. We're exiting early. Conservative can have a target hit, or it could have a time stop. Usually alerts will have one or the other, but not both. And last but not least, of course, there's a stop in conservative as well. So those are the 5 different exits that can happen in conservative. You'll have to decide which mode that you want to go into for that. For more on Holly herself, all right, I'm going to share a video here. The video is dated in only one sense. When the video was made, Holly was divided into 3 segments in the channels. She is no longer divided into 3 segments in the channels. The only reason why the segments happen was because there's different people that had different hands in her building, and so it was segmented off based on a lot of that. It really has nothing to do with anything else. There's not one that performs better than the other or anything like that, so don't worry about any of that stuff. It's one Holly. In that video, I specifically say, think of it as one Holly when there was 3 different channels. I go over in depth all about conservative and moderate modes and different ways to look at Holly and how to load Holly's alert window. I talk about Holly as an alert window in itself in that video. Please review that video. Last but not least that I'm going to share with you is our Holly guide. Sorry, just finding the link for Holly guide. Where are you, my Holly guide? There's the Holly guide. All right. Finishing up on what we set here. All right. So we decide our risk mode. Then we decide position sizing. All right. Are we buying X amount of dollars, a fixed dollars? Are we buying $30 worth of stock? Are we buying $100 worth of stock, $1,000 worth of stock? Are we buying fixed shares instead? Are we buying 1,000 shares every time? Are we buying 150 shares every time? Are we buying 432 shares every time? Or are we risking the same amount of money every trade based on the stop loss that Holly puts out there? Meaning, am I risking $100 based on the stop loss, and that will automatically share size you based on your risk? Am I risking $1,000? Am I risking, $89? Am I risking, $225? That's what you need to choose next. Then you figure out, am I going at a market order? Am I going at a limit order? All right. If I decide to go at a limit order, what's my offset? A negative number means you're willing to give up delta to get in that trade. So for example, with a -5 delta right now on that offset, if I have a trade, if a stock is trading and gets alerted and it's trading at $10 to $10.05 on that spread, I'd get the fill right now. If it's trading at $10 to $10.10, I might not get that fill on a 10-cent spread with a 5-cent offset. That's ultimately up to your broker. We have no control over that whatsoever. If you're not familiar with these things, please do some research on it. This is outside of trade ideas kind of stuff. We can kind of guide you and help you, but market mechanics isn't what our specialty is. The software is our specialty. You can reach out to us. We'll do the best we can to explain some market mechanics. But if you don't understand what pattern day trader is, if you don't understand what limit versus market order is, if you don't understand what, the limit offset is on these things, if you don't understand spread and things like that, I don't know whether or not people understand these items. I'm just, it's a general comment because, I don't know who's watching over in the YouTube side or who's, who's had what, experience in any of this. Please get familiar with these things. If you're serious about trading, you're serious about putting money to work, you should be educated in all these things before putting real money to work. The last item that you have to choose in this is your time in force. Very, very standard, like any other broker order time in force, good for the day, how much time's out there, or good till, dismissed, all those things like that. That's it. Now, while that doesn't seem like actually a whole lot to set up for Holly, it's a lot more than people realize, because what happens if Holly's alerting and everything has a 15-cent spread and you're at a market order and you get filled at the top of that 15-cent spread on all of them? You're not going to do very well on the day. It's just that simple. But what also happens if everything has a 15-cent spread and you have a limit with only a 5-cent limit? You're probably just not getting filled in general that day either. There's no way to predict these things. And this is the reason why I don't automate Holly. It's too much to balance. I didn't design the strategies. I don't know what it's looking for exactly, in the sense of, yes, do we have a description of all the AI strategies? Yes, we have a description, and they're all in that last link that I showed about the Holly guide. All right. But there's just too many unknown factors about the alerts that are going to come through for me to want to automate there. That's why I think Holly is best as human and machine, but to each their own. I also think that, people that have automation success with Holly are those that they leave it in moderate, let Holly make the entries, and then manage the trade afterwards. And it's easy enough to manage the trade. The reason why I say moderate is because you don't want to contend with all the exits in conservative. If you're going to try to manage the trade on your own after she makes the entry, you can do that through the orders panel here. You can get rid of the orders, because in moderate, you're going to see whatever the orders are for closing the trade are going to be here. And you can get rid of those orders, or you can modify orders, things like that. So personally, again, I think human and machine for Holly. Just my personal 2 cents on it. That's, from my own experience in automation, that if I didn't create the strategy, I don't want to automate it. And that's how that works. So hopefully that got everybody's questions answered here. Any other questions, hit us, info@trade-ideas.com. Just typing these out here into the chats at trade-ideas.com. Yes, computer has to be on all the time. Let me rephrase that. Do not leave Trade Ideas on all night. We do server-side work specifically on data for the AI, among other things. Leaving us on all night can mess that up on that data return the next day. Please just shut down. If at worst comes to worst, you left Trade Ideas on all night, go to the accounts tab and reset your connection like 5 times, all right, to make sure you really broke that connection and reset the connection for the day, okay? Don't leave your broker on all night either. I know Trader Workstation doesn't particularly care for that being done. I've seen some errors happen with Trader Workstation. We do not work for IB. They just allowed us to enter their API port through our software. If you go to IB support and you say, hey, I had this error with Trade Ideas, they're not going to know who you're talking about. Odds are, all right? So don't leave Trader Workstation open. If you're trading crypto all night and then you're coming into the next day, trading crypto all night through IB and then you're coming into the next day, take 3 minutes, close Trader Workstation and reload it the next day. All right. Software does not like running all the time, generally speaking. But in order to automate anything, whether it's Holly or your own strategies, yes, you need to have the connection open and logged into Trade Ideas and connected to Trader Workstation if it's IB or E-Trade is more of a web connection, so there's nothing you have to have open on E-Trade actually. But IB, you need Trader Workstation open and connected to. Do not let your computer go to sleep or anything else, power save mode, any of those things like that. Computer must be running, must be talking to Trader Workstation, or the software must be talking to your computer in your account. That's the way it must go. And like everything else, please start in a simulator if you're going automated. Please start in a simulator. Watch how it works in the simulator. All right. And then, if and when you decide to go live, put very little money to risk at work, or put very little money to work at first, low risk tolerances. All right. If things are working, slowly increase it as the days and weeks go on. All right. Um, Powerful software. So many things you can do with this software, so much more than just Holly too. And, technically speaking, you can kind of create your own Holly with back testing and automation and things like that. As I mentioned before, Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be, if and when the attendees that actually sign up for this, going to be more structured, less Q&A and more me giving instructions. Again, 50 signups, 8 of you showed up, 6 of you showed up. So we leave it a Q&A, we leave it open forum like this again today. We'll see what happens next Tuesday. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on YouTube. Again, I'll share the YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe and do all those wonderful things for us. Selfless plug as usual. Those are open forums on YouTube at the same time, 3:30 Eastern. Also at noon Eastern, we do every single day at noon Eastern, an open forum, just like what we did today, all right, on YouTube. So be sure to make those. If you got a question about a filter, you want to build a scan and you want some help building it, say, hey, can we build this scan together? I have this idea for the scan. Is it possible we can build this together, or at least get me a template together like I did with that 10 SMA scan today, all right? We're happy to do that. You can email us too and have us, build out a template and ship over a cloud link to you. But I think, building it live, like I just showed together, earlier in the session, I think that's better for everybody. I think that really helps you get to be more familiar with the software, its capabilities, and start to really dig into what you can and can't do with the software. And there's a lot more cans than can'ts with this. So I thank you again very much for everybody that attended. Really appreciate that. I'm going to stop the screen sharing now, get ready to shut down for the day. Friday, we wrap out a very choppy and ugly trading week here. Hopefully we get a little reprieve for those, myself. Swing trading, just, it's hard right now. I'm more of a swing trader. Day trading, there's some good day trading vehicles out there right now compared to swing trading vehicles. I prefer to swing trade. I've had to rely a little more on day trading. Not my favorite thing to do. So again, if you're someone who's new to trading, this is what I'm going to end on. Please don't be in a rush. I know everybody wants to get out there. I need to make money. I got to pay my bills. Don't put yourself under the gun like that. Don't put yourself under that pressure like that. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not a finance person. Everything I know about trading, I learned through the Trade Ideas community, and then, researching things, looking up some YouTube videos, looking up, Googling or DuckDuckGoing or whatever your search engine is that you like. I'm self-taught everything that I did here. And, here I am 5 years later. It's possible. The thing that I did that hurt myself the most was I went live trading very early. I should have waited at least 6 months, if not a year, because I just kept saying, I got to make money. I got to make money. I worked in a restaurant. I was a waiter. I was a bartender. I was a manager, all these things. It didn't work in my favor. Odds are it will not work in your favor. Market's going to be here. We're going to be here. If you got to take a pause, listen, I can't pay the subscription this month. I can't pay for the next few months. Pause my account. We can do things like that. We can work with you on those things. Our success is predicated on your success, but the more pressure you put on yourself, the worse it's going to be. This is a super hard trading environment. All right. It is choppy. It is sloppy. Every single swing trader that I know is not enjoying themselves right now. A lot of day traders that I know are doing just fine. And that's the way it works. Day trading is much harder than swing trading. I can answer swing trading questions, as we go forward in these here. A lot of it's going to be about what you're looking for, the charts that you're looking for, the time frame that you want to have, the stocks that you like, things like that. But we can go over those things. I'm happy to go over those things, especially on the Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays when it's more open forum. So please do not get discouraged. Don't force it. Don't put the pressure on yourself. There is literally opportunities every day, some days more than others. All right. So I'll end on that note. Thank you all very, very much for attending. And we will catch you all here 3:30 on the YouTube side tomorrow. Have a wonderful